Conservatives. Has anyone else noticed recently that conservatism and conservatives in the business world and the tech bros and all the people that are currently running the government, have you noticed that they don't want you to go to college? Has anyone else noticed that they don't want you to go to college? Now, we've known since time and millennia, since people understood that education is a good thing. Education, every metric that you would use to judge the economy, to judge people's financial success, financial abilities as they get older to make money, the bettering of themselves through education and critical thinking skills. Every metric we have shows that education is a unbelievable thing, and it lifts people out of poverty, and it lifts people into careers and opportunities that they definitely would not have had otherwise. And now conservatives, who all of them went to colleges, most of them to Ivy League schools. Mark Zuckerberg has said recently that higher education is not it's not going to pay off. So you're going to have your PhD or whatever, or your higher education, your graduate schools, things of that nature, and they're going to cost you. You're going to be in massive debt, and you're not going to be able to really find good work. It's not going to be worth the money that you invested in yourself. Mark Zuckerberg went to Harvard. Then there's, of course, my favorite actor, Mike Rowe, who for the last 5 years has been going on any conservative newspaper, podcast, Fox News, whatever, and is telling the American male that he's lazy and then he needs to get off his ass and go to work. 6 to 8 million healthy men are not working in this country. We need to get... So how do you get them to start working? And where is he getting his statistics? Is he getting it from the government? Is he getting it from a conservative think tank? Is he getting it from unemployment statistics? Is he getting it from people that are on Social Security because of disabilities? Where are these 6 to 8 million people, men, that are not working? And is there a reason they're not working, Mike? Do you know if there's jobs available for them in their communities? You think everybody, should take an apprenticeship? Do you know a lot of apprenticeships don't pay, or they pay below market value? But you need to get out and start digging ditches and building houses. And you need to start doing the hard labor because my kids aren't. I can promise you Mark Zuckerberg's children, Jeff Bezos' children, Elon Musk's children will never do a day of hard labor in their lives. But you need to. I'm going to send my kids to school, but you don't send yours. And you yourself don't go to school and better yourself. Even though every single fucking metric that we have, from government statistics to private institutions to schools, any metric you choose shows education lifts you out of poverty. It lifts you up economically. It gives you opportunities that you would have never had before. And conservatives also know that people that become educated tend to become more liberal. They tend to, because they're surrounded by intellectual pursuits. And America, particularly MAGA, is very anti-intellectual. And they don't have a problem with telling people that college is a waste of time and that you are just going to go into more debt. Elon Musk said one of the reasons they were doing Doge and getting rid of those federal jobs is they are non-productive federal jobs. And now you need to you need to get rid of that non-productive job and move into a productive job like manufacturing and mining. Donald Trump, who's trying to make America coal again for some reason. The inefficiencies of coal, the danger of it, what it does to the environment and the people, when we have alternative sources of fucking energy that we could easily tap into, and which many, many, many places all over the country already are, even in conservative areas. They're using wind and they're using solar panel arrays. But never mind all of that. Never mind facts and the truth. Let's let billionaires discourage us from educating ourselves. This is like the final form of fascism. Even the motherfuckers back in the 80s and 90s, I never heard an oil executive tell me not to go to college, or somebody fucking from, some train op magnate, some train company. Their CEOs never had the balls to come out and tell the American people that they don't need college or education. I don't know, and let me just add this. I don't know one field in America, one job, that you don't have to have some sort of continual learning. Even if you work in a warehouse with an RF gun, you still have to know how to use the RF gun. You still have to know how to use the software updates. You still have to use how the equipment in the building. There's some learning to it. Never mind the safety. Never mind if you work in a CNC machine. Yes, there are varying degrees. Sure, if you're a janitor, I doubt you have to really educate yourself other than on chemicals. But let's be honest. They're not talking about janitors. They're talking about working class boys, men and women, mostly men, and they're telling them, you don't want to go to college because it's too expensive. And they don't do anything to make it more affordable. They don't advocate for government policies to make college more affordable. And now they're coming, even though you went through an economic downturn and we're dealing with record inflation and high tariffs now, which are taxes to us, we're going to take your paycheck. We're going to take your Social Security. We're going to take your tax returns for your student loan debt. And they're doing it in record. They're not easing into it. They're going full fucking bore because they want the fees. They want to make money off of your debt. A debt that's already been backed by the federal government. That's why you don't take I've made videos about this. That's why you don't take a fucking credit. You don't do a credit check when you do a FAFSA. You can borrow money because it's the government backing. They're government-backed loans. And you're now paying for a government-backed loan after a pandemic, after an economic downturn. The banks, corporations, lawyers got bailed out with PPP loans. There's lawyers, I've heard lawyers on that propaganda machine of fucking NPR talk about, yeah, we took a loan, we're a small law firm, we took out a $750,000 loan, and it turns out, we didn't have to pay it back, but we ended up paying it back. And we think everybody should, because someday someone else is going to need that money. Like just total bullshit propaganda. Like nonsense. Like, oh yeah, you need to pay all your debts back. Oh, the banks don't. Oh, the major large corporations, the job creators don't, but you do. This is Barack Obama not wiping away the debt and letting people keep their houses after the 2008-2009 financial crisis. Same thing. 3 million people lost their homes. So now, these billionaires who are all educated, you think they just learned to do what they did without being educated or going to college? They're telling you, working class person, don't go to college. Don't send your kid to college. It's too expensive. And, at the end of the day, you don't really need it. Also, in addition, why they're doing it, why they want your labor, is because they also are seeing the protests that are going on all over the schools, and they don't like it. Conservatives hate protesting. Unless it's January 6th, where they weren't really protesting. They were trying to kidnap Nancy Pelosi. Like, let's not kid ourselves. They were coming for her and AOC and any other person that they perceived as a threat. And now they're all out of jail. Now those same people, if you did it, trust me, you'd be in federal prison until you're dead. And then the argument, of course, let me just say this, the argument about January 6th, well, yeah, they came to overthrow the government, but they didn't bring guns. They didn't come to overthrow the government. They weren't going to, and the reason they didn't bring guns is because if you walk into Washington, D.C. with a firearm, it's a felony. Immediately. They were told not to bring their guns. So they brought zip ties and duct tape and tasers and things like that. Non-lethal weapons. And they were coming for Nancy Pelosi. They were coming to, God knows if they would have succeeded, they would have just waited and tried to use them as hostages and to get Donald Trump to be the president again. That was the plan. That's what they all said the plan was. So when you hear Jimmy Dore or these dipshit right-wingers tell you otherwise just to get your money, it's like the people that still talk about COVID. Like, let COVID go. Stop talking about mandatory stop talking about Number one, vaccines are a very difficult issue to discuss because they do hurt people. They do cause neurological diseases in a small group of people. It's in the warning with the vaccine box, inside the vaccine label. It's a fact. But living on COVID, I'm getting distracted, But living on living on this COVID thing it's so boring. And anybody that's still into this, move the fuck on already, please. But anyway, stop grifting these dumb shits who only care about vaccines and COVID. Like, fuck off. But anyway, digression. But yeah, they don't want you to go to school. And they keep telling you, I keep listening to these right-wingers, and these people are constantly telling me, and telling kids and boys and young people, mostly boys, don't educate yourself. Even though, again, I went to college, you don't need it. Go out and get into the workforce. Yeah, go out and get into the workforce, all right. Go out and make a minimum wage doing some shitty job that has no career with it. But hey, at least you won't be in debt. You'll be an ignorant, poor piece of shit living in an apartment or a trailer or a duplex, some fucking place, renting it, living with 2 other people that you don't really know. But hey, go to work. Don't go to colleges. That's for fags. That's for pinko commie Marxists. And by the way, have you noticed that too? How many times have you heard that the colleges are producing Marxists and communists because the right wing said so? So I've heard a lot of working class people go, that those universities are just full of Marxists and they're full of communists. No, they aren't. They're full of capitalists making more capitalists. But you're so fucking stupid that you couldn't even look at the name on a fucking building and look up who that is. Go to a college in any town, any city in America or town in America. Drive around, go and walk around and take note of all of the building names and the dorm area names and the street names inside of the college. They're all millionaires. They're all wealthy families who donated large amounts of money to the college that they or their children went to build these ridiculous buildings. Have you ever heard of a legacy? A legacy is a rich person whose kids automatically get into college. They don't have to apply for it. They can just say, I'm part of this school now. But that was done by the conservatives as well. They have always attacked higher education because higher education leads to critical thinking, which then leads to people being more liberal. Now, financially liberal, that might be a whole different discussion, but socially, they become liberal, more liberal. They start to see the value of socialism. They see the value of diversity. I'll tell you right now, there isn't one immigrant in this country who's not telling their kids to go to school. I mean, I don't know any. I know Asian immigrants. I know Latinx immigrants. I know all sorts of immigrants. I know white immigrants. I know people that are from Poland. I know people that are from other countries. And they all tell their children, it doesn't matter what you have to do, you need to go to college. You're going to have to probably work while you're in college, but you need to educate yourself because you don't want to be running some fucking, or not even running, you don't want to be stuck in the economic situation that you were born in. And all of these people know that college is the answer. Everybody that's got common sense knows it. Yeah, you're going to go into some debt. That sucks. And that's why you should advocate for free college. That's why you should advocate for more affordable college or free. So these attacks on the university system by conservatives, whether it's going after protesters and deporting them, people on student visas, or whether it's Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or some billionaire telling you that colleges are a waste of time and that they're not worth, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, are full of shit. They're full of shit with an agenda to get you to stop fucking going to college and go to work in the mines. And when I use the word the mines, I mean it in not just the mines. I mean it in that sort of that sort of job that you would be getting out of college. Go work on an oil derrick or go do some dangerous fucking job. Never mind that you don't increase public safety. Never mind that you don't increase OSHA's power. Never mind you don't increase the EPA's authority or the federal to make these places safer for people to work and cleaner. You just want them to get in there because you need the labor. And now with your immigration push, you're losing even more labor. People aren't showing up to construction job sites because they're afraid they're going to be deported. Congratulations, conservatives. You have been tricked once again. And now you're going to destroy the country with your greed, your avarice, and your rapaciousness. Enjoy it. I'll be drinking a beer on the beach while this all goes down. Have a great day.